So today we will see what are the important questions of Indian culture root. Okay, so I have covered some important questions that may be important from the examination point of view. Let us quickly just go through these questions and the answers. So first of all is the what are the Vedas? So here the answer is the Vedas consist of thousands of hymns, prayers in the form of poems and songs that were recited orally, not written. And the word Veda comes from the Sanskrit Ved, which means knowledge. And there are four Vedas: the Rig Veda, the Yajur Veda, the Sam Veda, and the Atharva Veda. Okay. Now, second one is who were Rishis and Rishikas. So the Vedic hymns were composed by Rishis, that is the male seers or sages, and Rishikas are the female one. Okay. Now, describe about the Vedic society. So it may be important since describe question is there. So about the Vedic society. Early Vedic society was organized in different janas or clan, that is larger group of people. The Rig Veda alone lists over 30 such janas, that is the clan. For instance, the Bharatas, the Purus, the Kurus, the Yadus, the Turvasas, etc. However, not much is known for how these janas governed their society. The Vedas only give us a few clues through words like Raja, a king or ruler, Sabha and Samiti, both of which refer to a collective gathering or assembly. Many professions are mentioned in the Vedic text such as agriculturist, weaver, potter, builder, carpenter, healer, dancer, barber and priest. So this is about the Vedic society. So while writing the answer, don't forget to mention about the janas, how many janas were there in the Rig Veda that has been mentioned in the textbook. Then few examples also, right? The Bharatas, Purus, Kurus and the Yadus, and what were the important professions were there? That should also be mentioned here. And even though few clues have been given, Raja like a king or the ruler, but it was not confirmed that that has been ruled by the Raja. Okay, so these 3 points should be there in your answer. Now after that, let us see what is Upanishads. Now a group of texts known as Upanishad built upon Vedic concept and introduced new one, such as rebirth, taking birth again and again, and karma, our action or their results. The Upanishad also introduced the concept of Atman or self, the divine essence that resides in every being but is ultimately one with Brahman. It follows that everything in this world is connected and interdependent. Since it is there in the Vedas also and mentioned about the Upanishad, so it may be important for 2 marks answer questions, right? So this is your answers. After that, describe how Buddhism began and explain its basic teaching. So it may be there for the 3 marks and it is important also. Early in the first millennium BCE, several more schools of thought grew out of Vedas. However, other schools of thought also emerged, which did not accept the authority of the Vedas and developed their own system. One of them is Buddhism. It means they don't accept Vedas. They have their own system of religion. Now, Siddhartha Gautam at the age of 29 decided to give up his palace life and left his home to find the cause of suffering, existence of pain and misery in life. After meditating for many days under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya, that is here today in Bihar, he attained enlightenment. Siddhartha then became known as the Buddha, which means the enlightened or awakened one. And what were the teaching of Buddhism? That was mentioned in book also. The Buddha started teaching what he has realized, including the idea of ahimsa, that is non-violence. He also insisted on a sincere inner discipline. He also taught about Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path and the 5 precepts. Okay, so this much will be enough as this is only this much is mentioned in the book also. So describe how Buddhism began and explain its basic teaching is done. Now let us see, describe how Jainism began and explain its basic teachings. So Prince Vardhaman at the age of 30 decided to leave his home and go in search of spiritual knowledge. He practiced an aesthetic discipline and after 12 years achieved infinite knowledge or supreme wisdom. He became to known as Mahavira and started preaching what he had realized. So that is the just beginning of the Jainism, and Prince Vardhaman, who is known as the Mahavira, the 24th Tirthankar of Jainism, just describe about the Jainism. Okay, and this is the introduction of the Prince Vardhaman. Now let us see what its teachings were there. So teachings of Jainism. Jain teaching include ahimsa, anekantavara and aparigraha. So these were the teachings that is mentioned in the book itself. It also insists on the connectedness and interdependence of all creatures from human to invisible organism as they support each other and cannot live without one another. So this is the teaching of Buddhism, Jainism. Here we have covered the Buddhism and Jainism, right? Now next question would be most probably, what are the similarities between the Jainism and Buddhism? Now both the founders of Jainism and Buddhism lived their comfortable lifestyle to attain enlightenment. Then both Buddhism and Jainism follow the principle of non-violence. Both religion emphasize spiritual and ethical practices. They also believe in the concept of karma, dharma, the search for an end to suffering and ignorance, and many important values. Then they also believe in the concept of reincarnation, that is the rebirth of the soul in a new body after the death of previous body. And both religion have influenced Indian culture. So these are the similarities between the Jainism and Buddhism. And see, it is point wise. It will be easy for you to write in the examination also, right? And finally, what is a tribe? So we are at the end of this chapter, Indian culture root. So there are many definitions for this social entity. Today, anthropologists usually considered a tribe to be a group of families or clan sharing a tradition of common descent, a culture and a language, living as a close-knit community under a chief and holding no private property. So this is the definition of tribe. It may be important for 2 marks question. And finally, tribal belief systems are limited to believe in spirits and minor deities. Comment. So it may be there in the true and false also, or it may be there in the comment also, right? So tribal belief systems are not limited to believe in spirits and minor deities. Many tribal groups have a concept of higher divinity or supreme being. For example, several tribes of Arunachal Pradesh worship Donipolo, a combined form of sun and the moon, who later rose to the higher status of a supreme god. And this is also in case of the god Khandoba in parts of central India. In eastern India, the Munda, the Santhal tribes, among other, worship Singhbhona, a supreme deity who created this whole world. So here you have to mention that no, it is not true because they believe in higher supreme being. Secondly, you have to give the example from the India, that is the several tribes of Arunachal Pradesh worship Donipolo. And here also in case of god Khandoba, and you have to mention the part also central India. Then in the eastern India, the Munda and the Santhal tribe among others worship Singhoba. So these are important questions for India's culture root. I hope this may be helpful for you from the examination point of view also.